Detective Season 1 is the upcoming follow-up to the critically acclaimed Detective, a modern crime board game by Portal Games. Whereas the original Detective was a campaign-style mystery of connected tales, Season 1 aims to create an escape room experience, completed in a shorter time frame and in one-off scenarios. In Season 1, you're playing as a team of detectives trying to crack one of 3 murders: the death of a university professor with a sordid past, a wealthy family benefactor with a long history of enemies, and yet another that throws you in the midst of rival gangs. To solve these crimes, you will be gathering evidence, identifying suspects, and eliminating a litany of red herrings. All this while a looming deadline inches closer and closer with every decision you make. Jacob and I received a pre-release version of the game to investigate, and we've deduced the 5 things we like about the game and the 2 things that led us astray. Detective Season 1 has very simple and intuitive gameplay. In essence, players must solve each case within a fixed number of hours. They do this by finding and following case leads scattered around the city, or in one case, the mansion grounds. Each lead is a card with story elements that require a certain number of hours to investigate, but players won't know how many hours until they decide to pursue it. Moreover, some leads require moving to new locations, an action that eats up even more of your precious and limited time. This complicates decisions because players will be tempted to follow up all leads, even weak ones, at a single location to save travel time. And that's the conundrum. Do you check out the weak local leads or gamble on that juicy one that's at another location? So the gameplay, while easy to grasp, also requires a healthy dose of anticipation and intuition that might cause a lot of second guessing.
Detective is a very story-focused game. It's all about using clues in the story to figure out what actually happened while avoiding the red herring. Each of the 3 scenarios is unique and has a very different feel. The biggest commonality between them is that there's a murder, and that you're tasked with solving it. Beyond that, the location, cast of characters, and even some of the mechanics differ between scenarios. The game also strikes a great balance between letting you figure out information about the suspect and motives from the narrative and giving you more concrete evidence and leads to follow once you finish each story section. The cards themselves usually don't tend to pass any judgment on leads, presenting the information in a way that avoids biases and lets players build the narrative.
One of the coolest and most unique things about Detective is its use of an online media repository for players to dive into as they meander through the various cases. Since the game components are limited to cards with story elements on them, it's through this online portal that you'll find documents like police reports, call logs, and live action security cam footage. This allows for the use of things like DNA and fingerprint evidence, which the database can compare with other evidence you've gathered to dynamically show the matches based on the evidence that you've gathered so far. The website itself is very high-tech looking and gives you the sense of being knee-deep in a CSI episode.
The game shines when the time mechanic is used effectively, as without it, the players can continue to follow all of their leads until they're certain of the answer. Having to solve the murder within a specific number of time units adds to the pressure and gives the choices the players make more weight as they cannot follow all of the leads. This is compounded because some of the leads have additional information that can only be accessed when the players first follow it. There's also a predictive element to how much time something will take, as following leads can take anywhere from 1 to 4 hours. This makes it so you really have to think about what each lead entails, as staking out a place would take much longer than checking the police database for fingerprint matches.
The focus on deductive reasoning and storytelling with minimal mechanics makes this game ideal for solo or 2 players. When playing solo, you have control over all of the decisions of where to go and what leads to follow. This makes it more difficult in some ways, as you don't have anyone else to bounce ideas off of, but it lets you take your time, control the pace, and follow your gut, and giving you that heightened thrill of victory and agony of defeat to claim as your own.
But, as we always say, no game is perfect, and Detective Season 1 is no different. One of the things that we didn't like is the inconsistency of the game mechanics and difficulty. Though all 3 scenarios were enjoyable, it was jarring to play the second one that was little more than a choose-your-own-adventure book on cards, after the first one had you poring over videos, reports, and call logs in order to find the murderer. There were definitely reasons for this that were part of the narrative, but we found it a lot less interesting and fun to play without all of the added pressure of leads taking different amount of time and having to take the time to get to the different locations.
The other thing our play group felt was that the multiplayer mode was lacking robustness. Unlike the original Detective, this version does not include variable player abilities or even different things for other players to do. It is a game of solitary focus. So instead of feeling like a team working together and contributing in their various ways, it felt at times more like a group sitting around with a choose-your-own-adventure book. And no doubt, certain groups will revel in the storytelling focus, but I can also see coming from the original Detective that some people may be chagrined. I found myself asking, how do we judge Detective Season 1? Compared to the escape room puzzles like Exit and Unlocked, this one has a much stronger story and the answers are more concrete. Compared to the likes of Sherlock Holmes, it reins in the sprawling playtime by setting a definite ending condition. And compared to the original Detective, it provides the crime drama setting, but an all-in-one, one-and-done box. Ultimately, I think it's successful at what it intends to be. And for me, it's a game that would sit beside the others in my collection, but not replace any. A new twist in a genre that I can appreciate.
All in all, Detective Season 1 is a simplified version of the original Detective, a modern crime board game. It's great for people who want a more casual and quick experience that feels like you are really solving a case. It has very simple and intuitive gameplay, and the 3 cases included in the game are really interesting, with a lot of very compelling red herrings that make finding the true answer feel like you've really cracked the case. Have you had a chance to play any of the detective games? What are your thoughts on these story-based mysteries? Let us know in the comments below. If you enjoyed this video, be sure to leave us a like. And if you'd like to see more videos about board games every week, be sure to subscribe to our channel. We hope that you stay safe, stay well, and we'll see you next time.